Welcome to Module 10 of our course in financial accounting. This module is all about shareholders' equity. And to understand shareholders' equity, we have to understand how corporations, how businesses work. So this is you, and let's say you're interested in buying into one of those big US tech companies, Apple, Amazon, Meta, these types of companies, and let's say you buy some Apple share, and so you join a diverse group of shareholders. Surely there's millions, not like more than I'm putting on the screen, and there you are, you own one share of Apple. That's you. Now, all these shareholders get to vote on various things the company's doing, but it's not one vote per person, it's one vote per share. So if the guy beside you has 200 shares of Apple, they get 200 votes, and the person beside them might have 1,000 shares and they get 1,000 votes, and you have your one measly vote. But that's how the company operates. Now, you might think that this shareholder group has a say in the day-to-day decisions of the company, but they really don't. The shareholder group has really one big job to do as far as corporate governance goes. They have to elect what's called a board of directors. And the board of directors should be experts in the field that the company's operating in. And their job, this board of directors, is to represent the shareholders' interests. So these shareholders are all very different people. They're a diverse group. And if you're the board of directors, what an interesting task. You've got to represent this massive group of people. And because their interests are all different. So for example, if I bought shares in Apple, I'd want to advocate they produce a small phone again. Their phones are all too big. I'd prefer to have a smaller iPhone. Well, somebody else in this group might say, no, small iPhones are stupid. They need to go bigger, right? And they might totally disagree with me. And this group, no matter what decision you put to this massive group, they can't agree on anything except one thing. The one thing this massive group agrees on is they'd all like Apple's stock price to go up. And the reason they want it to go up is because they're shareholders. And you may say, well, no, what if I just wanted to go down for a little while and then go up? Well, if you wanted to go down for a while and then go up, don't be a shareholder. Sell your shares. You shouldn't be a shareholder of a company if you want their price to go down. That's a foolish financial decision. So pretty much every single one of these people agrees they want the share price to go up. So you'll often hear in a finance class, the goal of a company is to maximize shareholder value. And that's the reason is these people all put pressure on the board of directors to do things to raise their share price. And at the same time, the board of directors hires the CEO. So the board of directors is in charge of hiring, firing, and deciding how much the CEO gets paid, right? How do we incentivize the CEO to, again, protect the interests of this big shareholder group? So Apple's board of directors is composed of Tim Cook's the CEO of Apple right now, but like high flying, experienced people. So these are people that have been running at the top levels of business, and they should hopefully be able to give Tim Cook advice, and they should also be able to evaluate how he's doing in his job. So, a couple of people, this person is the former executive at Johnson & Johnson. Well, Johnson & Johnson, massive manufacturer in America. Well, Apple is also a massive manufacturer and American company. Susan Wagner, the co-founder and director of BlackRock. BlackRock's one of the biggest investing companies in the world. Well, if you're a shareholder, certainly BlackRock, having one of the largest investing companies in the world on the board of directors makes sense because you're an investor. BlackRock's going to try to protect your interests. So that's the idea of the board of directors. You want to hire diverse, smart group of people to represent your interests in directing the CEO. They give the CEO advice. They tell the CEO, big picture, they help point the CEO in the right direction. The CEO is in charge of the company. The CEO hires, the marketing manager, the HR manager, and points the direction of the company, the operations manager. And the CEO really is in charge of the company. So again, just to sort of summarize this relationship, you become a shareholder in a company. As a shareholder, you don't really get a say in the day-to-day operations of the company. You do get a vote on who will be on the board of directors. And the reason you don't get to vote on much is because it would just be too unwieldy if you're voting on, what type of coffee goes in the lunchroom or, which size of iPhone they should make. You just don't get that level of scrutiny. You just get to pick or vote towards the board of directors. The board of directors chooses the CEO and when to fire, when to hire a new CEO and how much to pay the CEO. It's the CEO. It's a very key role. They operate the company. Now, you may be saying, well, that's nice for Apple. Apple's like this mammoth company, one of the largest companies on earth. What about just a small business? And I'll go from the largest now to the smallest size corporation. And let's say you're running your own small business and you decide to incorporate. And that's what our chapter is all about. We're not looking at proprietorships or partnerships in this class. You are a proprietor and you decide, I'd like to incorporate. I want limited liability. Might be some tax reason that I want to incorporate. I decide I want to incorporate my business. I want to run as a corporation. Well, it's very plausible that you decide to invest. So you decide to incorporate. You are the only shareholder. You are the only director. Because as the only shareholder, you vote on the board of directors. You have to have at least one director. And so you go, oh, I know, I'll be the director. Let's have a vote, everybody. Oh, looks like I won. I'm the board of directors now. I'm the director. You appoint yourself as CEO because there's nobody else going to run this company. It's a very small business. And then you operate the business. So it's sort of a quirky thing. You're wearing all these hats, but the accounting will be similar in terms of debits and credits, just on a much bigger scale for a massive company. But this is a very plausible way for two different corporations to be, right? And there's a lot more of these ones than there are of these ones. But we talk more about this type of corporations because, of course, they're much more famous. In any event, I hope that's given you some insight into how corporations sort of operate and the oversight and the, they call it corporate governance of a business. This module, though, we will focus on debits and credits, the nuts and bolts of accounting for this equity situation. All right, that's it for this intro. I can't wait to get started with some examples. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Bye-bye. The next video in our series is right up here, and if you want a supercut of all of the videos in this series, that's the one down below.